Good morning, folks. Good to have you company this morning. We begin with that historic legal victory for the Prince, winning his tabloid battle against a UK newspaper group for serious intrusion into his private life.
Let's go live to 9 Europe correspondent Edward Godfrey in London. Edward, the newspaper offered him a full apology.
Yeah, they have, Carlton. Sarah, lawyers had said yesterday on what was to be the opening day of a 10-week trial that they were close to an out-of-court settlement, and that has proven to be true today. Prince Harry and Rupert Murdoch's News Group newspapers coming to a last-minute agreement with NGN to pay substantial damages, believed to be around 20 million Australian dollars. The group's flagship, The Sun, issuing an unequivocal apology for unlawful news-gathering practices by private investigators between 1996 and 2011, including phone hacking, surveillance and misuse of private information. It also acknowledged the distress caused by the serious intrusion into Harry's and his late mother, Princess Diana's, personal lives. The Duke was a co-claimant, along with former British politician Tom Watson, Harry's barrister David Sherborne, calling the settlement a monumental victory.
In a monumental victory today, News UK have admitted that The Sun, the flagship title for Rupert Murdoch's UK media empire, has indeed engaged in illegal practices. The truth that has now been exposed is that News Group newspapers unlawfully engaged more than 100 private investigators over at least 16 years on more than 35,000 occasions.
This is one of 3 cases Prince Harry has brought against the British tabloids. He's been determined to see them through, to hold the publishers to account. There may be some more to play out here as well. Harry's legal team wants UK police to investigate, and there are calls also for Rupert Murdoch to make an apology to the Prince and also to the King.
Edward, thank you.
Large anti-Australia Day demonstrations in Melbourne's CBD this weekend are threatening to disrupt the Australian Open. Live to Christina Hearn at Melbourne Park. Chris, what are the concerns?
Well, Jane, CBD business owners have been told to brace for about 30,000 protesters on Australia Day and to make sure that their businesses and also staff are secure. Last year there was about 30 to 35,000 protesters through the streets of the CBD, so that number is about the same. What is different this year is that police are worried about Australia Day protesters and pro-Palestinian protesters converging. And this year they are planning to march through the CBD, but then onto here at Melbourne Park. Victoria Police have said that they are aware of a protest outside Melbourne Park on January 26, and they've engaged with event organisers who have provided their plans around the protest, and they're working. Tennis Australia is working with Victoria Police to ensure that the tournament is not disrupted. Of course, Sunday is the men's final. However, that men's final does not take place till the night. The Australian Open this year is actually going to recognise Australia Day before the men's final. That is something which is different to the past 2 years. 2023 and 2024, they didn't actually recognise Australia Day here at the Australian Open. So that is something that will now be occurring on Sunday. Jane.
Christine, thank you. A delicate operation has unfolded overnight in Sydney's inner west to remove scaffolding from a demolition site after parts of the building collapsed. Live now to Today Sydney reporter Jack Hahn on the scene in Burwood. Jack, the road there is still closed.
Yeah, you're right about that, Jane. Good morning to you. We're joining you from the edge of the exclusion zone here on Railway Parade in Burwood, and you can see this is what they are focusing on up there. All that scaffolding which is leaning to the left of your picture, that is the problem that we are talking about. Part of this collapsed, and then it triggered a partial collapse of that unoccupied building you can see on your screen, and then this is where things got really hairy. Yesterday afternoon there was an operator of an excavator that was trapped because the debris quite literally had fallen onto that piece of machinery. Thankfully, this morning we are told that he is safe. It was safe for him to be in that cabin, but in fact, firefighters asked him to stay there because it was helping prop up the rest of that building. This morning, as we come on the air, we've been seeing some of the excavator actually working to chip away, take part of that scaffolding away. But this all unfolded at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Hundreds of people were evacuated from nearby buildings. Watch.
There was like a big like series of like crashes, and I didn't know what it really was, but then there was a lot of screaming. I'm only on the first floor, but all the windows were closed and everything, but you could still hear it.
And it's been somewhat of a sleepless night for residents here in Burwood. This operation has been going through all hours of the morning and is still happening at the moment. We can hear lots of loud bangs from falling objects and the sound of the excavator echoing through all of the buildings here. This will be going for many hours to come. Jane.
Jack, thank you. The 33-year-old man charged over an anti-Semitic hate crime will face court today. Adam Mule is accused of spray painting swastikas on a synagogue in Newtown in Sydney's inner west and attempting to light it on fire. He is the 9th person to be charged under Strikeforce Pearl in relation to several anti-Semitic incidents across Sydney in recent months.
We believe criminals for hire may be behind some incidents. Who is paying those criminals? Where those people are, whether they are in Australia or offshore.
Police say a second man is expected to be arrested soon over the Newtown synagogue incident. Meanwhile, new hate speech laws could be enforced within just weeks. Criminal penalties for violent threats against racial or religious groups will be a major priority when Parliament resumes next month, with the opposition willing to work with the government to pass the laws. Attorney General Mark Dreyfus says the laws would combat anti-Semitism by lowering the temperature in Australia. Embattled Carlton President Luke Sayers has sensationally quit the club despite being cleared by the AFL's investigation into that lewd photo scandal. The image had appeared on his X account earlier this month, also tagging a female executive from one of the club's sponsors. In a statement, Sayers has maintained his innocence, saying the decision by the AFL to clear him drew a line in the sand on his behalf. Police in Melbourne are hunting for this group of 8 boys who are wanted for bashing a lifeguard at an aquatic centre at Narre Warren in the city's southeast. The 19-year-old lifeguard was set upon after asking a boy to stop doing flips so close to young children.
They've been at the swimming facility throughout most of the day and have been quite disruptive and rude, and it was obviously quite distressing for the people that had to witness that, as well as the young 19-year-old who was involved, just trying to do his job and keep the public safe. It's really disturbing.
That group was last seen heading towards Fountain Gate Shopping Centre. A 26-year-old man is fighting for life after being assaulted by a group of people in Sydney's inner west. The man was treated at the scene in Newtown by paramedics for injuries to his head before being taken to hospital in a critical condition. A crime scene is in place, but no one has been arrested so far. A 38-year-old woman has been left with life-threatening injuries following an overnight crash in Kilmore, north of Melbourne. Police say a station wagon swerved off the road and crashed into a tree around 8 p.m. before the driver fled the scene. The passenger was injured and is now in hospital. A home has gone up in flames in Parafield Gardens in Adelaide's northern suburbs. Fire crews battling the blaze just before 9 p.m. on Kellaway Street. The cause of the fire is not yet known. Drivers have been left horrified after a man was seen clinging to the bonnet of a moving car on the Gold Coast. The chaos began when the Honda driver weaving recklessly through traffic while chasing a white sedan. Once he caught up, he jumped onto the front of that car before running onto the road screaming. The outburst ended at a Southport car park where police arrested the man.